Hello and welcome to another edition of Full Throttle. Today we have a returning guest, Kyle Lockrow. How are you today, Kyle?
Hey, Justin. Hey, everybody out there in Full Throttle Nation. I'm doing very well. Just enjoying a nice long weekend here at home in Maryland. How about yourself? And hope everybody out there is doing well.
Yeah, so talk to us about what you've been doing since the last time you were on.
Well, let me think here. Old age is starting to set in a little bit. Let me see if I can remember when it was. I think it was middle of last year we spoke, right? Or it was maybe back last spring. It was maybe about a year ago.
Yeah,
So, okay, that sounds about right. So, in that time, we have been very, very busy. We have car side, but we have started to make a bit of a transition over to the IMSA side. We're hoping to do some road racing in the next year or so. And even for 2025, we're hoping to work our way in and get some and move up into the pro side of that. But we're still doing the Champ Car Endurance Series competitions and races. I've also now started as a broadcaster. So I co host the Champ Car Live presented by AutoZone broadcast that they do for a select amount of races per season with my co host Paul Veltum and Lester Epps. And we also have Nolan Waldrop, who also assists as one of the pit reporters as well. So it's been a lot of fun to get some time. I've been a guest on the broadcast before, but it really is a different feeling when you have to actually help put the show together as far as content and talking and 14 hours at Road Atlanta we realized was a long time, and you really had to figure out how to put content together. But it was a lot of fun. I'm learning a lot. I feel like it's going to help me even back behind the wheel, just enhancing my speaking, making sure I'm always taking media engagements such as this at a high priority. So I'm very excited about it. I'm also still doing a lot of coaching virtually and at the track. I've been primarily coaching with Rad Air Racing. Last year, I drove with Atlanta Speedworks. I drove with Rad Air Racing. I raced at Sebring with Open Throttle Racing. I did two or three races with Rad Air, and then I did the Daytona race last year with Atlanta Speedworks. So, but we're still trying to keep the NASCAR side of things open, but we're just trying to diversify our portfolio a little bit and make sure that we have options on both the road racing and the oval side available for any marketing partners that want to come on board and help our program out.
yeah, so talk to us about what where you see the program in a year from now.
Well, it really depends. I think now that the election cycle is over, I think a lot of companies are a little more confident than they were 6 months ago or even this time last year. So I think there's a lot of positivity with our program moving forward. We have a lot of people that have expressed interest in getting involved with us because of moving over and transitioning and doing some of the IMSA competition. We still have some folks that want to do some stuff on the NASCAR side, but I really think that with the fact that Peacock and NBC have such a strong point on the IMSA side, in addition to what all the TV deals and everything that NASCAR has on that side, plus with doing the Champ Car competition and the fact that we have the broadcast to go with that with the streaming, I think it's really going to be beneficial for our program. I think we're going to get some races in this year. I think we're in a better position than we've been in the last 3 or 4 seasons. We've worked really, really hard. As you can see in the background of the screen, we're working on adding new content every day and new little bits of excitement and more professionalism to the program. Just trying to do with backgrounds, make ourselves. We want to put on a cup esque and a WeatherTech esque program, even though we're still fighting to get to that level. We want to let them know that you're going to get the same quality that you would from the guys at the top level. And we're just as good, if not better than those guys. And we absolutely push to the limit. So I think there's a lot of great things to go on. We're still trying to build KLR management. We've are working on trying to get new clients on board. We're working on growing the business. Again, just trying different things. We're also looking at diversifying that organization and looking at some interest even outside of driver management. So we have a lot of things going on that Tanya and I, my wife, and my business manager we're really striving to look at.
Yeah. So Kyle, what what would you say? Uh, what would you say? Because I know I've been a client, and what would you say your biggest thing you look for in a client is?
Well, we are open to any type of client in any form of motorsports. The only thing that we don't represent due to legality reasons is we can't represent any type of student athletes just because of NCAA and any of that kind of legal issues. We don't want to get into that. That's just something always as a disclaimer. But really, we look for somebody, yes, having to be able to pay the bills and go racing is very, very important. But what we look for at KLR management is we look for somebody, regardless of what your background is, we want drivers that work really, really hard. We want drivers that want to do this. Our goal from KLR was to help the little guys, was to help those that don't have a lot of money or don't come from a very wealthy background. So we want to give them the opportunity to find funding to go compete against the big teams at the highest levels of motorsports, regardless if it's asphalt, dirt, drag racing, NASCAR, IMSA, dirt bikes, whatever the case is. Even if you wanted to race speedboats, let's say, we don't take any industry out of the equation. We know that it's a bit motorsports is a very wide area and you can represent individuals and drivers and athletes and different and even outside of motorsports we're looking at different clients in different areas as well. We've looked into a few different industries outside of racing that we think might be viable. So we're very optimistic for the future, and I think that what we look for is heart. I didn't come from a lot of money. My parents, I did not ask them to triple, quadruple mortgage their home for me to go race a car. I still went and got an education. We want drivers who look at the big picture, but also we want to strive to them to have a plan B. We know this is a very volatile industry. We want to help you be successful. We want to help you grow and potentially race at the highest levels of professional motorsports, but we also want to make you an even more successful human being in the life that we live. So our goal is we want somebody that's willing to put in the time, put in the effort, work with us as a joint effort, and we can all be successful together.
So, talk to us about the idea of your show and kind of how you found them to help KR Management Group and stuff like that.
You're talking about some of the drivers that we have currently on our roster.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of funny because sometimes they happen to just be chance meetings. Sometimes you meet them through a third party. It really the saying right place, right time really does matter in motorsports. With our current driver roster that we have, Camp Teague has become a friend of mine. Actually, he reached out on social media through the KLR page and through my racing page, inquiring, finding out how he could get involved and what he needed to do to be able to make a run at racing. And we had him come out to Carolina Motorsports Park a few years ago when I was racing a champ car for a different team. And we just introduced him to a lot of people and showed him around and really let him get acclimated to the race weekend setting and what it really took to start, because Champ Car is a great jumping off point. It's an amateur division that allows you to race with amateur drivers, but along with the opportunities to race with professional drivers. It gives you such an eclectic group of individuals to gain experience from and learn from. So that was how it started with camp. With Jason Deal, Jason's background is more asphalt oval racing. Now, we have had Jason dabble into the road course side of it because he wants to diversify his driver portfolio to potentially move up. But we met Jason through another driver that we were representing at the time, that we no longer work with. They moved on to another opportunity, and we wish them nothing but great success for 2025 and beyond. But Jason has worked really, really hard. He is the epitome of blue collar. He very much tries to do a lot with a little, but he is making gains and strides every day. He works really, really hard to grow his program. He owns his own stuff. He runs in the the national compact division, and then he also does a lot of NASCAR Advanced Auto Part Weekly Series racing. So he dabbles in some stuff, and like I stated earlier, we're working on getting him some road course experience. He's looking to do a couple races this year if the funding can be procured. And then with Christopher Arthur, Chris is a stuntman in Hollywood by trade. We met Chris when I was driving for Andy Hillenberg with Fast Track Racing through his good friend Stanton Barrett, who's very close friends and has driven a lot with Andy's team. Just a lot of networking in the garage. But Chris has become a great friend of mine, a great friend of our families, but he's also a client. He's been having to focus more on the stunt side right now, just because now that Hollywood is back up and going and the strikes are no longer are going. So he's been constantly working and making sure he's keeping himself going there. He wants to get back onto the motorsport side, but we're trying to help him even on the Hollywood side, just keep him going, find opportunities when we can. But realistically, I mean, that's kind of his bread and butter. That's where he makes his living. So those are the good clients that we have right now. We are currently entertaining a couple of others that we are not going to announce and have not officially signed yet, but we are looking at a couple of newcomers to the fray, and we're hopeful that they'll sign on with us and see us as a good home for their future.
Yeah, it sounds like. Now, last time we can really get into KR Magazine Group,
Uh-huh.
but just talk to us about what your wife Tanya means to you, and she's like your right hand gal.
Yeah, Tanya is an amazing person. She's been very, very supportive of me for a very long time. And she really wants to see me be successful. She wants to see the company grow. We've had a lot of ups and downs. We've gone through a lot of peaks and valleys with growing this, especially with my program where it had kind of tapered off for a little bit, and we're working on trying to get some momentum back to keep things going. Unfortunately, I still work a full-time job outside of the racing. So what's hampered me really the last couple of years is the fact that I've had to go back to work full time. Not that I wasn't working before, but I've had to be back in the office pretty much full time. And now that, because I work for federal contractors, doing information technology, working with computers, so I've had to be in the office a lot more every day. I don't have the flexibility with the telework to do as much traveling as I used to. So we've had to be a little more creative with stuff. But Tanya has been absolutely amazing. I mean, no matter what I want to do, in which direction I want to go. She absolutely dives in with both, dives in head first and jumps in feet first and just really immerses herself in whatever she needs to do to make me successful. And I try to do the same for her with the management company, where we just work very in sync as a team. She handles a lot of the day-to-day operations where she's the one calling and shooting emails and trying to drum up business, but also trying to find funding. I'll do more of the back end stuff with the website and building some of the marketing materials for myself and our other clients. But we always cross check each other and we always support each other. yeah, there are days that I'm surprised she hasn't probably wanted to divorce me. I'm sure they're coming, and hasn't probably wanted to, push me over the side of a cliff. But I mean, that happens when you're also married to somebody that you work with. But she's a great person to have around. I'm very lucky. Her family on her side has welcomed me with open arms, and I'm very glad to be a part of it. And it's been it's been a big adjustment on my side of the family with everything, but my parents have been phenomenal with it and very supportive. And we're just very optimistic and excited for the future. And I'm looking forward to sharing it with her. And hopefully we can take this journey to new heights.
Yeah, so the way I want to end this episode is thank you, Kyle, for taking the time out of your day to tell us a little bit of what you've been up to lately. A- And while you're at it, hit that like and subscribe button if you're new to my YouTube, and find us on Spotify, as Full Follow has went to Spotify as well. It's been Justin Butler with Kyle Lockrow. Goodbye, everyone.